Good morning, everyone. Hello, sir. Hello, classmates. We are Group 2, and the topic we're going to discuss to you is about Project Manager. Project Management. It is the process of leading the work of a team to achieve all project goals within the given constraints. To put simply, project management is about getting things done. It's about knowing exactly what you want to achieve and how you're going to achieve it and how long it will take. Because successful projects don't just happen. They're not just a long list of jobs to be done. They are a masterpiece of planning, management, organization, and communication. But behind every successful project, there's an unsung hero, the project manager who kept everything and everyone on track to ensure the delivery of the desired result. Now, a project manager, a person assigned by the performing organization to lead the team that is responsible for achieving the project objectives. Project managers fulfill numerous roles with their sphere of influence. These roles reflect the project manager's capabilities and are representative of the value of contribution of the project management profession. The project manager leads the project team to meet the project's objectives and stakeholders' expectations. The project manager works to balance the competing constraints on the project with the resource available. The project manager also performs communication roles between the project sponsor, team members, and other stakeholders. This includes providing direction and presenting the vision of success for the project. Now, let's talk about the organization. The project manager proactively interacts with the other project managers. Interacting with other project managers helps to create a positive influence for fulfilling the various needs of the project. The project manager maintains a strong advocacy role within the organization. The project manager proactively interacts with managers within the organization during the course of the project. The industry. The project manager stays informed about current industry trends. The project manager takes the information and sees how it may impact or apply to the current projects. A large part of the project manager's roles involve dealing with people. The project manager should study people's behaviors and motivations. The project manager should strive to be a good leader because leadership is crucial to the success of projects in organization. A project manager applies leadership skills and qualities when working with all project stakeholders, including the project team, the steering team, and the project sponsor. Here are some examples of qualities and skills of good project manager. Being a visionary, being optimistic and positive, being collaborative, managing relationship and conflict, good communication skills, being respectful, exhibiting integrity, and being culturally sensitive, courageous, a problem solver, giving credit to others where due, being a lifelong learner who is results and action-oriented, focusing on the important things, being able to build effective teams, be service-oriented, and have fun and share humor effectively with team members. To make my report short, here are the most important role of project manager. Number 1, we have ensure customer satisfaction. Project manager really need to ensure that everybody is satisfied. And how you do that? Through emotional intelligence. And part of that is communication. To make sure that everyone is on the same page. Now we have number 2, be a cheerleader. The role of project manager is to motivate the team. You got to ensure that they are inspired. And lastly, be the paper pusher. Okay, we know that project management is all about documentation. We need our project plans, we need our timelines, we need our budgets, and all that fun stuff. That helps project manager to keep people on track, and it ties into everything else that you're doing as a project manager. Now, let's welcome the second reporter, Miss Erica.
Good morning, everyone. I am Erica C. Lorgonio and I am the second presenter for today. My topic is about special demands on the project manager. Special demands on the project manager. A number of demands are unique to the management of projects, and the success of the project management depends to the large extent on how capable they are handled. These special demands can be categorized under the 7 following headings. Acquiring adequate resources. It was noted earlier that resources initially budgeted for a project are frequently insufficient to the task. In part, this is due to the natural optimism of the project proposers about how much can be accomplished with relatively few resources, but it is also caused by the great uncertainty about a project. Acquiring adequate resource. A good project manager should know that there are resource trade-offs to be taken into consideration. A project manager should know better at allocating resource to every materials or steps connected to the project. For example, a skilled machinist can make do with unsophisticated machinery to construct needed parts, but a beginning machinist cannot. Another is that acquiring adequate resource may be connected with being politically connected or being in a political connection to the top manager or top management. For example, functional department manager and a project manager. The functional department manager may get enough resource for their project because he or she is connected with the top management. Number 2, acquiring and motivating personnel. It is a major problem for the project manager is the fact that most of the people needed for the project must be borrowed. With few exceptions, they are borrowed from the functional departments. The project manager must negotiate with the functional department managers for the desired personnel, and if successful, negotiate with the people themselves to convince them to partake to a temporary assignment. Acquiring and motivating personnel. Most of the time, functional department manager cooperates with the project manager when it comes to borrowing his or her personnel. But the cooperation has its limit, and there are 2 certain issues that a functional manager may consider. Issue number 1 is a project manager wants personnel with scarce but necessary skills and the top producer from the functional department, which are most likely the people that the functional manager wants to keep. Another is that the functional manager may find the project more glamorous than his or her function and hence a potent source of managerial glory. Another is motivating the personnel that you have borrowed from the functioning department, with them knowing that there are limited budget or resource for the project. It is not actually difficult to motivate them because some of them joined the temporary assignment because of the challenge. Best example are those people who works at NASA or the astronauts. They joined the NASA not because it is a high-paying job, but instead, they joined because they like the challenge of discovery. Number 3, dealing with obstacles. One characteristic of any project is its uniqueness, and these characteristics means that the project manager will have to face and overcome a series of crises from the beginning of the project to its termination. crisis appears without warning. The PM is a firefighter with a vocation. So what do we mean by firefighter of a vocation? Fire tends to be associated with the limited resources. The project manager actually the ones who deal with the obstacles of allocating the budget for materials, for hiring personnel, and for giving benefits or for making the limited resource be able to help or be enough to finish the project. The project manager actually learns from the experience of others. A project manager learns by experience. He or she may be a project manager or not in a project, but the experiences is the source of learnings. There are two categories of obstacles that a project manager may experience. One, last minute schedule and technical changes. Two, a series of problems that have as their source uncertainty. So these are actually associated with the limited budget. Sometimes due to limited budget, the schedule should be longer or the schedule should be shorter.
Number 4. Making project goals trade-offs. The project manager must make a trade-off between the project goals of cost, time, and performance. The project manager must also make trade-offs between project progress and process.
Making project goal trade-off or the progress versus process. The most common set of trade-offs in project management is the classic time, quality, and scope. For example, you can do something faster, but in order to do so, you must sacrifice either the quality or scope. Or you can do something bigger, but in order to do so, you must sacrifice either quality or time. And last example is that you can do something high in quality, but you must sacrifice other scope or time. So trade-off is actually connected with the time, quality, and scope, or what you call the process and the progress. Sometimes the project manager needs to make decision of whether to have a fast progress in the project or take step-by-step process, but with the tendency of allocated resources to not be enough throughout the project.
Number 5. Failure and the risk and fear of failure. Sometimes, some research on characteristics that seem to be associated with project success or failure, but sometimes it is difficult to distinguish between failure, partial failure, and success.
Sometimes what we see as a failure at one point of the project is a success to another. If we actually divide all projects into two general categories according to degree of differences in the nature and timing perceived difficulties in carrying out a project. As an example, assume that there are two types of project. One is a well understood and routine construction project. Two, not well understood and there may be uncertainty of what to do. In type 1 of project, there might be problem that would arise in the routine construction. Meanwhile, in the number 2, which is not well understood and there may be uncertainty of what to do, they may think of a solution to do things on the spot. In conclusion, failure, risk, and the fear of failure hold us back from success. Sometimes a project manager may be afraid of taking risk or the fact of experiencing failure. This actually leads to making the project a flop. But a project manager which is not afraid of taking risks sometimes make a miracle project and a bigger project as a result.
6. Breadth of communication. The project manager's time is spent in communicating with the many groups that are interested in the project. Running a project requires constant selling, reselling, and explaining the project to outsiders, top management, functional departments, clients, and a number of other such parties at interest to the project, as well as to numbers of project members itself.
A project manager is the main bridge that connects all the people that is needed in the project. Communication plays an important role towards getting resources and the people that may be interested in the project. The PM has the power to help or make the project a failure if he or she does not know how to communicate to key persons on the project.
7. Negotiation. In order to meet the 6 other demands of the job of a project manager, which are acquiring adequate resources, acquiring and motivating personnel, dealing with obstacles, making project goals trade-offs, failure and the risk and fear of failure, and being the bread of communication, the project manager must be a highly skilled negotiator.
It is a very important demand to the project manager to know how to be a good negotiator. If the PM is a good negotiator, the 6 other demands from acquiring adequate resources down to being the bread of communication will be easily done by him or her. Negotiating plays a bigger role in the project management because you can negotiate for resources, personnels, and other necessary materials needed for the project. One example is the PM negotiate for resource and borrowing personnel. With a good negotiation skills, it will be a success and the project will be good. So that concludes my report. The next reporter will be Ms. Janessa Galasio.